What's up, guys? So we're going to be talking about the top 5 decks to play in Master Duel. Look, Master Duel's just come out and it's a really fun game. However, at the moment, the main source of income is going to be playing online and ranking up. Now, to play online and rank up easier, you need to play better decks. And so I'd really advise everyone, don't just waste your gems on any deck. Get one of these top 5 decks, then go online and start grinding out. That will solidify an income source for you, and then you're going to be able to move on and build whatever deck you want with all those extra gems you're getting. But let's get into those 5 decks. So to start off with, at number 5 we have Eldritch. Eldritch is just amazing, to be honest, in a best of 1 format. Like I said, by the way, Master Duel, so it's best of 1 format, and it's an OCG list from like 2 years ago with 1 or 2 minor changes. And so in a best of 5 format, set 5 pass is going to be amazing because most people don't main deck back row removal. So you know what's going to happen? You're going to set 5 cards. Your opponent, maybe if they're lucky, will have like a Cyclone, and then you're just going to be able to beat them down with advantage. And that's what makes Eldritch so good. You can also abuse the fact that skill drain is at 3 in this list, which means it just shuts down so many decks, which is great. And then you have other degenerate floodgates. You have your Imperial Order, there can be only one, all of these different things, which is really great. You can also play cards like Inspector Border. You can play Ecclesia, which is basically another copy of Punishment. And yeah, it's just very hard for your opponent to play through this game. One, if you go first, you'll nearly always win. If you go second, you set these cards and you can win. There's other things you can do. For example, you can play Torrential Tribute instead of Ice Dragon's Prison, so that you have the Strike Tribute combo and just nuking your opponent's boards and little things like that, which is really great. There is no Heavenly Dragon's Prison. However, like I said, most people don't main deck a huge amount of back row removal, so it tends to not matter. 3 Judgment is more than enough, and you've got 3 Extrav and 3 Duality, so you're almost always going to be seeing that Judgment, which is really great. So yeah, Eldritch is definitely the number 5 deck and definitely a really good one to pick up. Moving on, we have Ignis at number 4. So again, it's a best of 1 format. Ignis makes the towers. They make a big ass towers, and so unless your opponent's main decking Kaiju, which, spoiler alert, they're probably not, they're going to really struggle to out that, and that's probably just going to give you the win. Another great thing about Ignista is that it's super cheap. It's probably the cheapest meta deck out of all of them. Pretty much all of the Ignistas are normals or rares, and they have 1 or 2 spells that are like secrets or ultras or something. I think they have 1 or 2 secrets, and they have 2 ultras in terms of Templar and thingy and Arrival, but everything else is dirt cheap, which makes this deck really easy and cost efficient to build, in my opinion. And this is also just a very fun deck to play in general. It's hard for your opponent to stop. Now obviously it does have to take the max C-Tac challenge, which does suck, but if you want, you can put cards like Crossout and Ash and stuff to end up negating that, so that you have an opportunity to kind of play your Ignista deck, put out Arrival, and again, who cares if your opponent draws 30 cards if you've made Arrival and they haven't got Kaiju? They're not outing it anyway, so it does not matter. So yeah, that's what's really great about Ignista. I definitely would advise picking up and building this deck. Then at number 3 we have Zodiac. So look, the thing about Zoo is that almost any format, this ends up being one of the best decks as long as Dryden is available, and it's simply a testament to how strong it is when one normal summon is your full combo. That is Zodiac. That's everything it does. You normal summon it, you make a bunch of ranks, and then you put Trident on top. Now you have a free pop every turn. If your opponent max sees you, simple, just make Trident pass. Now they've only got 1 draw at the max. This deck is so good, and then the rest of the deck is really just generic staples and text, because your core engine is so efficient and so resilient that you don't need to worry about anything else. You've got 3 Tenki as well, so you're always seeing a Zoo monster. You've got Zeus. This deck makes 4 and 6 material Zeus is super easy. I mean, everything about this deck is just so powerful. So yeah, I would really recommend Zoo. Another thing is that if the OCG format kind of stays in the game, Zoo tends to be a good deck anyway. So in the long term, this is a really good strategy to use, in my opinion, because it's going to be good no matter what, whether it's best of 1 or best of 3. As long as you're playing in the OCG format, this is going to be a great deck. So I definitely recommend building up Zoo. It's also quite cheap. Most of the cards are going to be rares and normal cards. The expensive part of this deck is more the text than anything else. A lot of the text are going to be secrets and ultras, which is a little bit frustrating. However, you do have flexibility. You can play other texts instead. At number 2, it's definitely going to have to be Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk. So look, Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk in the TCG is one of the best decks anyway, and I think it's a testament to just how good this deck is that it's also good in this best of one format. You have 3 Tenki. I actually used my TCG list, which is why I was just assuming Tenki was at 1, but you have 3 Tenki, and so this deck is super consistent, super effective, and its board is an FTK pretty much anyway. You make the board, who's cracking through that unless they draw like 3 or 4 specific outs? Going second, it makes Zeus super easily. I actually didn't waste my time with Max C with this list because I felt like it just didn't really need it. I'd rather just have more consistency because I'm going to win the game, game 1 if I go first anyway. If I go second, it doesn't matter if they have Max C, I just make a 4 or 6 material Zeus, and whatever they make is getting sent anyway. So yeah, definitely a really good deck to pick up. This is another one that it might get touched a little bit on the ban list, but I have a feeling that this deck will have some sort of ability to play regardless of the ban list anyway. So I definitely think in the long term this is another great one to pick up. And also all of the Tri-Brigades and all of the Lyrilos are quite cheap to build. The expensive cards are more in the extra deck, things like your Shure, things like your Zeus, but most of these cards are quite cheap to build as well, making it very efficient again. So yeah, Tri-Brigade Lyrilos and Tri-Brigade variants as a whole, though this is definitely the best variant in my opinion. It's definitely going to be a great idea to play. And then lastly, the undisputed best deck, in my opinion, has to be Virtual World. And it really just comes down to the fact that VFD is the best boss monster in a maxi format, in my opinion. It's just the best. It doesn't matter if your opponent draws 20 cards, if they can't activate any cards. If they draw an Imperil on a Veiler, who cares? You've got Chuche, you'll probably just pop the True King and they won't be able to do anything anyway. And this deck is probably the most consistent at making VFD outside of like old Dinos from like 1.5 years ago. It spits out VFD, and usually you're going to be spitting out Crystal Wing or Shen plus the VFD, which is just even better. So yeah, Virtual World, super effective in this format. I'm telling you now, pick up Virtual World, make VFD, and you're just going to win all of your games for free. This is what I'm actually playing online at the moment, and I haven't actually played nearly as much as I should. I think I just got to gold now, but I haven't lost the game yet. It's really just been a bunch of wins by making VFD, and then my opponent can't activate any effects and they just lose. So yeah, definitely a really good deck to pick up. I think Virtual World is super great. It's also relatively cheap. The weakness of Virtual World, I would say, is that you have to use 15 different extra deck monsters, which is a bit frustrating because quite a few of them are going to be ultra rares, which is a little annoying. However, in the long term, Virtual World is also a good deck to have anyway. So again, it's a great one to pick up for your Master Duel account. So yeah, guys, those are the top 5 decks. Definitely give these decks a try. Definitely make sure you build one of these. Really please don't waste your money building your Blue Eyes deck. As much as I love rogue decks and stuff like that, it's not worth it. Build a meta deck first, use that to grind points of ranked, and then after that, after you've solidified an income, a revenue stream, then you can look into building whatever the heck you want. Unless you're someone who's planning to spend money on the game, then do whatever the heck you want. But if you're a free-to-player like me, you definitely want to be building a meta deck first and then going forward with that. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I've got a review of this game coming up very soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that, and I'll talk to you all soon. Peace.